Sir, please don't redeem the gift card.
Okay, so Mudahar recently deleted his Twitter completely, and this was his reasoning.
But over the last, I want to say, few months, the platform has effectively become 4chan's X, ladies and gentlemen. You know, when you fire up your timeline and you see like, oh, this Pajit poo in the loo, get him out of the country, boy! You know, it's like, you know, when you go to like 4chan poll, yeah, you can laugh at it every once in a while, but when it becomes like a constant thing, it really just sucks all the energy and fun out of it. Like, dog, if I wanted to go to poll, I would just go to poll, okay?
And I mean, he's not wrong. Just today, I saw this. Just someone calling Indians disgusting. 130,000 likes. There was also this. On my way to India. Wish me luck. Yeah, I probably don't need to explain the joke. Over 200k for this one. And look, in isolation, I'm not going to say there's nothing funny about this. Like, this kind of thing can be funny, but there comes a point where it's like when this many people like this kind of joke and it's repeated daily. And keep in mind, there's way worse stuff I'm not showing. But yeah, basically, there comes a point where I get where Mood is coming from. Look, Twitter is an extreme case, but it's not just Twitter though. This has been bubbling for a while. In fact, I made a video about this topic a year ago on my second channel. Coincidentally, the thumbnail had Mudahar in it, even though it had nothing to do with him. He was just like a prominent Indian guy. A friend of mine sent me this reel recently.
Nick, can you at least address this? You literally said that the entire country of India smells like shit.
That's true. It does smell bad. You're gonna tell me Delhi doesn't smell bad? They got 1.5 billion people, and they're all crammed together on one train. It doesn't smell bad?
It's the curry.
Come on, man.
With spices. Anyway, I mean, look, it's Twitter and it's Nick Fuentes. Like, there's going to be some racism. What do I expect, right? But even in more normie places, like normie subreddits, I see some of these little jabs at Indians and no one bats an eye. Like the Sirs doing the needful meme or the send Bobs and Vagine meme. I see that type of stuff way more often compared to similar jokes about other minorities. Like on Reddit, I don't see people typing like ching chong bing bong or talking about how Asians eat dogs. You know, and man, don't even go near black people. Like, you'll be banned off everything. Does anyone remember the PewDiePie T-Series feud? I remember a friend of mine sent me the song like a few months ago.
Bobs or Vagana, whichever will it be. I'm a blue-eyed white dragon while you're just dark magician. I got 9-year-olds the world's a whole your defecation.
And I was blown away. I was like, wait, nobody cared about this? I mean, okay, look, if you want to be like racist, it's pretty weak sauce. Like my friends and I have said way more racist shit to each other. But it's just strange that this came from like the biggest children's entertainer. I mean, I get that it was 2018 and he was in his, oh, look, I'm edgy PewDiePie now phase, but still, like just imagine if he was feuding with like an African-American music group and he just had like several jokes about how they all don't have fathers and they all commit crime, about how they all can't pronounce the word asked. Okay, looking into it now, it does seem like some people were mad at this too. But look, I don't know, man. I feel like I would have heard a lot more about this if it was like aimed at black people or Jewish people. Not nearly as blatantly, but just like these little sly racist jokes are just given more leeway when it's towards Indians than other types of people. I'm not completely sure why that is. It might be because Indians have less of a foothold on Western culture compared to like other types of Asians and black people. They have fewer movie stars, comedians, sportsmen. Also, I think it's because they're not viewed as quite as disadvantaged as black people are. But I think the biggest reason is Indians just have really bad stereotypes right now, and with almost none of the positives. So what are Indian stereotypes? It's like they're gross, smelly, rapey, or horny. Ugly is a big one. Now, that's one that's, I think, often not outright said, but I think it's pretty obvious with how they're caricatured. Especially if you're very brown. Oof, even other Indians will look at you as unattractive. Generally, Indians are viewed as uncool, you know? Men are not manly, the women aren't feminine. You know, at least other Asians have that. They're scammers, all the poo stuff. What actually are the positives? Like, other Asians and black people certainly at least have some positive stereotypes. Now, of course, you could argue that even a positive stereotype is actually a negative. For example, black dudes being viewed as big-dicked, athletic, manly men. That comes with the flip side that they're also viewed as like stupid thugs, maybe. And also, you know, if you don't fit a positive stereotypes, that comes with different types of pressures, and yeah, it's just not good.
I have a white penis.
But still, I think it's better to have stereotypes that have at least some positive element to it. So I've been thinking, like, why do these bad stereotypes for Indians exist? Where do they come from? Well, I think there's a few things. I think firstly, Indians have become very visible in the last decade or so, because they're not just a lot of Indian people. A lot of Indians also speak English. You know, an equivalent population-wise, like China does not have that. Like, according to Wikipedia, China has an English-speaking population of 10 million, whereas India's is 128 million. You can only be an annoying scammer to Americans if you speak English. Also, Bob's and Vagine, you know, no Chinese person is sending those DMs because they don't speak English. And when Indians move to Western countries, I think the culture clash is more obvious because they speak English. Secondly, a lot of India just got really good internet access recently. Again, more visibility. Thirdly, a lot of them are very poor. Poor people are cringe. Fourthly, there have been a lot of issues with immigration lately, especially in Canada, but other places too. Rightly or wrongly, you know, Indians have drawn a lot of that ire. And lastly, as with a lot of stereotypes, there are some nuggets of truth to them. There are bad cultural elements, like weird gender stuff. Like the creepiness, the rapiness, is kind of a thing. And there are certainly a lot of places in India that don't smell great. Although that is a little exaggerated. I mean, it's not everywhere. Like where I used to live was completely fine and normal. Okay, I had a weird thought. I wonder if Indians might become the new Jews. Like they already have these annoying stereotypes, but they also tend to be quite wealthy in Western countries. They seem to have a pretty disproportionate presence in the tech industry. Like the CEO of Google, Microsoft, YouTube, IBM, Adobe, all Indian apparently. Oh, yeah, I don't know. This is looking spooky. And you could argue that's the new Hollywood in a way, right? Social media, new technology, it all controls our lives. There's a high proclivity for them to stick to their own and look out for each other, marry each other. Although to be honest, I think this is true for virtually every group, especially if they're a minority. Oh, and just like Jews, some of them can pass off as white. You know, hide in plain sight like Nikki Haley. They're starting to get some proper like political influence. Kamala Harris, Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley of course, JD Vance's wife. Ooh. Wait, do Indians actually secretly control everything? Okay, jokes aside, this is obviously not good. I think Indians have like this horrible combination of being simultaneously pretty successful, yet also the country itself is dirt poor, and a lot of the hate they get is basically a proxy for hating poor people, essentially. And it just makes the immigrants like weirdly low status and way too easy to make fun of. And this is kind of weird for me to talk about, because on the one hand, I am Indian, but on the other, I don't feel particularly Indian, even though I did spend 5 years of my childhood there, and my parents are obviously Indian. But also, when I moved countries at the age of 7, I went to a uniquely multicultural school. And I don't mean like, oh, the kids were different races and colors or whatever. No, they were literally from different cultures, all different countries. Like there were a bunch of Brits and Americans and Indians and Pakistanis and South Africans, Venezuelans, Nigerians, everything. So unironically, I feel a little bit like non-binary culture-wise or race-wise. But also I think even in society's eyes to some extent, like certainly some people clock that I'm Indian, right? Brown skin. But I'm not like Mudahar where it's like, so obvious that guy's Indian. Like even when I come across the occasional racist comment on my channel, like half the time they're not even directed at my Indian-ness. They're just like broadly racist. Like this dude calling me a raceless goy cattle slave. I think naturally I'm just not a very patriotic type of person. And then when I moved very early into that multicultural school, whatever little connection or whatever I did have got completely stamped out. Because we were all like different types of expats and we just like all blended together and it was weird. I think it was a very unique kind of upbringing. So I feel almost caught between my instinct and my natural inclination, which is not to care, but there is that small layer of, you know, they are still like talking about me though. So like if Indian hate truly goes into overdrive, like it becomes really bad, like there's a cleansing of Indians somewhere, like the double entendre of cleansing. But yeah, if that were to happen, I may not escape it. So besides just being like principally against this, in this case it's weird because I also like logically know it's in my best interest to be like, hey guys, this is not good, okay? Do not redeem the racism. I mean, Muda is definitely right about one thing. Twitter is just strictly a complete waste of time.
Using X was a total waste of time and actually offered no benefit to the YouTube channel whatsoever.
Now as for it turning into poll, I mean, here's Elon just quote tweeting an actual like schizo poll post. You can read it if you want, it's batshit. And he remarks, interesting observation. And I'm pretty sure that Elon's posts are like artificially boosted in the algorithm. So, you know, the shoe fits. It's funny because when growing up, the most common Indian stereotype was that 7-Eleven one, you know, thank you, come again.
Thank you, come again.
Now, oof, they've gotten way worse. Being known as like the rapey, dirty people, not good. At least online. I mean, I doubt that most like kids in school are feeling this. But yeah, I guess that's it. See ya.